Hi everybody, Jo here again. Thanks so much for popping along today. Must admit, I'm really cold today. So if my jumper comes over my hands, I do apologise. I'm absolutely frozen. So I hope you're keeping warm. And for those of you who have got sun at the minute, I hope you're really enjoying it. You know, I've forgotten what it's like to feel that warmth of the sun on my body. Can't wait for summer. Anyway, I digress. Today, I thought we'd have a lovely little project. Now, we've got a new Lavinia challenge at the minute, and our February theme is Love is All Around. Now, I know not everybody makes Valentine's cards, I get that. But this, I thought really it could be a wedding design, an anniversary design. Bring us a little bit closer so you can see, or just love you. You could even change it up and just have it as a friendship design, and again, you could use different animals. We've got our gorgeous foxes. I love to just come in with a starting point for you. And for me, there are so many places you can take this. If you want to reproduce, I don't like to use the word copy. I think it's a bit, well, I prefer reproduce. If you want to reproduce this design exactly as it is, brilliant. I'd love that. I'd be so thrilled and humbled that you've used my inspiration. But if not, if it gives you an idea for a different design, then, I'm all for that. Either way, even if it just helps you get Mr. Mojo back, because he can go on holiday. I think he must be here in the UK where it's freezing, and he definitely wants to go and get some sun. And what I thought I'd do, it's a bit of a play on words, because love is all around. That made me think of the wreath design, the circle, the, everlasting love. I'm sure that's a song somewhere. And like I say, I've used our wild hare set, the small ones, but also I've used this gorgeous little leaf stamp, which I'll go through, and it's off the vine set, and it looks like little hearts to me. So my head was buzzing with all these little areas that we've got hearts involved, and our new sentiment, love you to the moon and back. I thought that was so useful. Must admit, quite often I just cut it here, so it says love you. Again, ideas. So this is the sort of thing we're going to do. I hope you're going to join me. Make yourself comfortable. Now, I've got to confess, I've got a bit of a migraine today, and I forget my words at the minute. I seem to be suffering a bit of word blindness and memory, so I'll apologise now. But I'm fine. I don't want, I'm not saying it because it's just when I listen to it back and realise sometimes I might say the wrong word. That's why I just want to be honest and open. You're coming into my craft room. I'm going to make you a brew. I'm just explaining. But once I've explained, forget it. But you'll know what I'm like. I've already got, this is a piece of Multifarious card, 5.5 inches square, and I've already put my black Sharpie line round, which I tend to do to save time because I know how much I talk. But a few of you have asked, a few of our lovely newbies, new followers, and I've got to be honest, for me, I do this at the beginning because if I do it at the end, as sure as eggs is eggs, it's going to spoil my work, but that's just me. Piece of copy paper. I use a Sharpie pen. You can use any black or coloured. You can get gold, silver, use your Posca pens, and any permanent marker. I find for me the best thing to do is hold a piece of kitchen towel, so I press the card down, pop the nib to the edge and just drag it down. Now, I know in theory, because we're dragging it down, it should come down. But I found sometimes if I don't concentrate or if I don't press on here, halfway down, it can whiz across my card. So I found if I put it at an angle, that helps. But also I found pressing it down and just dragging this way really helps for me. But if you notice, I've also done it on the sentiment. And also I've put a backing piece of red card and I've edged the red card with a black line just to keep that lovely design running all the way through. It saves for me buying black card, and if you're posting your designs, it saves on postage on weight. So I just wanted to share that with you. So I'll get rid of that, and I needed to do that now because, as I say, I would forget. So I'm going to start off, and I just want to make a bit of a circle. So I'm going to use my acetate circle masks and the larger one. And I always put a little dab of something permanent. So this is Posca. Let it dry, because do you know what? I do find I lose them. And at least if I've got some colour in the middle, I've less chance of losing them. And I'm going to come in with lime punch. Lots of colours would work for this. You know, if you're doing this as a wedding card, you could theme it. If you found out what colour the bridesmaids were wearing, that would be, or an anniversary. I love it. You know, little tip as well. When I go to people's weddings, I make a note of what colour the bridesmaids have been wearing and, you know, the colour of the flowers. So then when I make them an anniversary card, I can use those same colours. And little touches like that, you know, just makes people feel so special. And I think in this day and age, we all need to feel special. I think everybody can work and family and time. And if we're not careful, I mean, the biggest gift you can give to anybody you know is time and love. Really is. So I'm just coming in, I dab in the lid as normal, onto the mask and just gently flick. And then it's almost like a circular motion. But using that tickle, don't want it too deep. I just want to, if I take that off, look, just let me give it a wipe. And I'm just going to put that away so I don't lose it. But it almost gives us that sort of aura. But I don't want a solid line there. So I'm just going to come in and almost just fuzzy that edge a little bit. And often it's these little touches like this that just makes all the difference. So we'll pop that over there. And I'm going to do some stamping now. So for me, I just find copy paper helps, but that's just me. And I'm going to use my Versafine Clair. So again, for our new followers, it's a permanent ink. And it's just a good ink because it dries permanent, but also it's good for fine detail. And also, I've got to be honest, I think for silhouettes, which when I started off stamping, I had a problem with. So I'm going to come in with 2 of our stamps off the small hair set. And because I want them facing each other, so I'm just going to ink these up. And I am a bit of a tinker, as you know. Just want to get a tissue because I catch the edge, look here. Now, I know some fabulous ladies and gentlemen can stamp and it won't show. If I stamped that, it would show. So I'm going to stamp these sort of about there. And just give that ink time to soak into the card. It's multifarious card, so it's perfect for what we're doing today. There we go, lovely. And again, I'm just going to give that a bit of a wipe with my Inky Binky. Just because I'm taking it off and putting it back on the acetate. And if I get ink on my fingers, I want to try and keep this area white. And I find the more ink I get on my fingers, the less chance I've got of keeping it white. But that's just me. You know, I have met, when I'm doing my workshops, I've met some fabulous crafters that manage to, you know, craft away with dirty hands and they don't get marks on the work. So really, you just go with, you know, whatever you're like. Embrace it. We're all different, which is brilliant. We don't want to all be the same, do we? Right, and that one's lovely as well. And I love this because they're facing each other. I did think of making one with them actually going back to back. You know, that sort of, well, we've had a fallout, we're not speaking. But again, that's just my sense of humour. It's funny the way my head works. I don't know about you, when I'm creating designs, my head wanders and I think of silly things like that. So I'm coming in now and I want to stamp, as I say, this beautiful leaf, which is on the vine set. And they look like hearts. And I'm going to use Verdant because I think it's a similar colour to the lime punch. And the best way for me to do this is I'm going to start, and I'm almost using that as a guide, but just a rough guide. And I'm going to do a first and second generation. And I'm just going to work my way round and just do opposite first and second generation. Don't get, when you do this, too hung up about how it's looking, because we're just going to work our way round, and then we can look at the shape and see if we need to add any. This is just our background stamping, so I always think it's a bit like flower arranging. This is the foliage, the base before you add your main pieces. And for me, I just find it easier to turn the card as I'm going. And again, just take your time and enjoy it. You know, in crafting, we have a phrase, enjoy the process. And I do think that's what's lovely. I really enjoy creating these designs and crafting with you, having a catch up, checking that you're okay. I know a few of you have been struggling this January, and I do think crafting can really help. And look, if the odd one, if I don't get the full amount of ink on, it actually doesn't matter. And I'm just going to come round, look, and it would just happen that there, we're going to fill that gap. So what I would do now is look at the design and just see, actually, it's not too bad, is it? It's quite circular. So what I'm just going to do is there's a couple of bits where I just want a little bit of extra. So maybe just there and there. And then I'm looking here. I just think, so I'm just going to take my time and just look round the whole design and just see. I think I need a little bit there. I think just there. I'm not going to overthink it, but I think if I just do a first there and a second there. There we go. How does that look? So we've got that circle. So I'm happy with that. So we'll pop the ink over there. Give my stamp a bit of a wipe again, and then I'm going to put that back on its acetate, so I know where that is. That's safe. Now I want my lovely hanging heart. So this is from the Fairy Charms set. Now I could have used, there's another shape of hanging heart, so it's up to you which one. I'm going for this one, more the ornate one. But when I look, and you can use your acetate, the stem's a bit long. So I'm just going to bring in, I always have a spare piece of copy paper, and we'll have the fuzzy edge. So I'll put that there. And then get my black ink. Now again, if you wanted, you could do the heart in red or stamp it in black. If you want it in red, go over with your gel pen or your Posca pen. I'm happy to leave mine in black, and I'm just going to stamp it there. Again, a silhouette, so just give it time to soak in. When we take that away, look, yeah, happy with that. So again, give that a bit of a wipe. Don't know about you, but this year, I was saying yesterday, or the other day when we had our catch up, my craft space seems to be getting less and less. So I'm really trying to keep it as tidy as I can, but as I'm working, you know what it's like. You start with a huge space, don't you? And by the time you've created your project, it's so small. So I'm going to come in now with this group of hearts, and this is one of our mini stamps, our pound selection, and Glamorous, the lovely red Versafine Clair. I was quite glad to use this colour because I must admit I don't use it that often. So to start off with, we'll have one up here, to hide the top of that, but it almost looks like it's coming out of the hearts there. Then I'm just going to pop a few going round. I want to have the hearts going round, so we'll have one there. another here. And I don't want one directly under that, so I'm just going to pop it slightly to the side there. And then let's have one there. Now it's up to you. You can go for an odd number, an even number. You can add more of these if you want. I'm happy with that. But when I made this design, the way my head works is when I looked at this, I was happy with this, but at this stage, for me, I've got black stamping here. I need some in my wreath, in my frame. And if I bring the finished one in to show you and put them side by side, can you see what I mean? Almost the black is too stark here without some in the frame as well. We want it to look like you've really thought about the design and everything matches. So for me, that's why we've got a little bit of using the black in the frame. And when I looked at my stamps, I knew I just wanted a small stamp. So again, I went for one of my pound stamps, and this is the mini leaf creeper. And it's one of those stamps, I always say it's a bit of an unsexy stamp. Do you know what I mean? It's one that you look at and you think, would I use it? But it is so useful. I've got to be honest, every time I put an order in with Tracy at Lavinia, I order an extra pound stamp because they are so useful, and often you don't realise you're going to need them until you do. So I'm going to ink it up and just miss the stem here. Now, if I had inked up the stem, look, just use my Inky Binky and take the ink off, because what I want to do is pop it just in that space there, look. And we'll do that coming round. So again, take your time, ink it up, and then just wipe it off. And I decided I was going to pop them all coming this way. You can alternate it if you want. Again, I just explain the way I do it. And you know what? If you have a different way, that's fine. As I keep saying, there is, you know, we all have different ways of doing things. So I'm just going to turn this way and have some coming. There's one. And it's nice because you can almost use it so it going clockwise or anti-clockwise. Pop another one. And if I wasn't sure about adding the black, you know, one little tip is what you can do is take a photograph just with the red, you know, before you'd added the black stamping, and then take a photograph afterwards and compare the two. So I'm just going to put that one there. And to me, that looks that lovely cohesive design. Now I'm just going to give that a bit of a blot. Just because the next bit I'm going to use my stencil brush and I don't want to smudge any of that stamping that we've just done. So I think, I mean, you've got the basis for a lovely design there, haven't you? Right, we'll get rid of that. And I'm going to bring in our mini hill masks. And I'm going to get all three. And I'm going to go for the flatter one, which is that one. And you know me, I'm just going to turn it to the side. And we'll come in with the same colour, the lime punch. But because I've got almost a smaller area, my larger brush, and often we get asked about different uses of different brushes, I think it would cover too much area. So for me, I'm going to go for my number 3, my smaller brush. And I just find for this, I can control it better. And I'm going to start under our bunnies, purely because I want that darker anyway. And then I'm just going to add a little bit out to the side, look. So start again under the bunnies. And with using this smaller brush, look, you can really control. And for me, that just, doesn't that make a difference? And again, we're not doing anything difficult. You've done all these little steps before. This is just like a little recipe. So we're just going step by step, all very achievable. So I'm just going to give that a wipe. Again, I don't like to put things away dirty. And let's just, shall we go for this one? Now again, I'm always careful now. As you know, I don't want to put it there because it'll look like I'm chopping our bunnies' heads off. So I'm thinking I just want one. And I know I'm going to put my moon this side so I can have my hill higher that side. So I think if I go for that. And again, a nice gentle touch. I just want the idea that the hills are there. Don't want to overdo it. So it's better to have a look. Yeah, that's a wee bit too gentle. So I'm not going to add any more ink. The mistake is if you add more ink, just go over with what's on your brush. You'd be surprised what's still left on your brush. Yeah, because I don't want to spoil it by adding too much. So I think that's lovely. I'm going to stop there. So if you bear with me, just give that a wipe. And put those away. And then I want to add the moon, just really because I couldn't decide whether to or not. But because I want the sentiment, love you to the moon and back, it's perfect to add the moon. And for this, I'm going to use my blue Atoll. And this is a well-used pad. So I know this one is nice and pale. So if you've got a new pad, it might be too deep. And again, I'm coming in with my smaller brush. So if your blue Atoll is quite new, it's quite a deep colour, maybe go for Della Blue. And when I've added the colour where the moon is, I've got less ink on my brush, so I can just use it to take a bit of the whiteness off the sky here. And if I show you right, I just want to soften that edge. Again, I'm not adding any more ink. You'll be surprised how much ink is left on your brush. And I can just almost colour with it. And I think that really just complements the whole design. So we'll just give this a wipe and put that back. So we can just add a couple of finishing touches now. And I'm just going to come in with my pastel pencils. And we'll add a little bit of shading first. So I've just come in under the bunnies with the black and add a little bit, and the moon's there so it'll sort of go this way. But I'm also going to add a little bit of the green, just because it's green on green. And then I'm going to come in with a biodegradable cotton bud. You can use your finger, but as I say, I'm trying to keep the white areas white. I'm just going to smudge that to the side. There we go, happy with that. So let's put these back. I have to put them in the right place, I'm afraid. And then if we come in with the white, and I just want to add a little tail and then just a little bit of highlight. Not going to overdo it, just a little bit of shape. And it's just going to catch him here. And then maybe just on these black. Again, I'm not going to overthink it. Now you can use your gel pen for this. And then I'm just going to, with my finger, there we go. And for me, I just put that back away. I always like to put them away safely in the tin. And then little finishing tricks. My wink of Stella, just going to add a little bit on the moon, look, just so we've got a little bit of sparkle on the moon. And then we'll add a little bit of sparkle on the heart on this side. And just where it would catch our little bunnies, look. Now it might be, if this is going for a couple, you're happy with the sparkle. If it's for, say, a boyfriend, a husband, you may want to leave off the sparkle. But again, the choice is yours. So look at that. I mean, the wink of Stella just, to me, adds that lovely bit of sparkle. Now, I'm going to add a little bit of stickles, and this is lovely. It's lime green. There's lots of different colours in the stickles in the green. Let me just check. I'm sure. Now I've got sea foam, and I'm sure there was a prickly pear, but as I say, my head. So whichever green you've got, and all I'm going to do is a bit of dot and dab, whichever, I'll write the colour in the description at the end. So it's a bit of a dot and dab this, and what I tend to do if I just want it on the green look, so I'm just going to dot it all the way around in the spaces. I don't want it to go on my main stamping on the hearts or those black areas, so I'm just gonna dot it and then dab it. Reminds me of plastering, not that I've ever done any plastering, but I'm sure there's something they do like a dot and a dab, or a, mind you, I could have made that up. You know what I'm like, if I don't know, I just make it up. Now again, you may want to leave the glitter off. Put that back up there. I do need to just give my hand a wipe. But I just think for an anniversary card or a wedding card, we need a little bit of glitter. And then for the sentiment, we've got our lovely 2 new words and the words from the heart. And we've got love you to the moon and back, and home is where the heart is. Very useful sentiments. Now, what I tend to do is I save all my offcuts. I've mentioned this before, and I stamp them up and I keep them in one of my little boxes, look. So all I've done is edged this, and what I find is you can stamp direct on the card if you want, but for me, I just find it useful every so often when I'm not sure where I'm going to put the sentiment. Or I love to cut this one up into love you to the moon and back. So I'm going to use my Bippity Boppity glue. Now this design would look lovely in your journal as well. And with using this glue, look, I get a little bit of wiggle time, which I don't get if I'm stamping. So often I would make a design like this and keep it in my box ready for emergencies. And then I would decide on the sentiment when I know who I'm sending the card to. So that'll just take a couple of... It dries clear, so it's beautiful. If any comes out, that'll be fine. Now, I hope you find that a useful design, but also I hope you enter the challenge. All the information is on our website, so go to the Lavinia website, and you know what? You could win £40 to spend at Lavinia. And it's random winner. So wouldn't it be lovely if on here we could have somebody put in, Joe, I actually won. So please, if you haven't entered, maybe it's the time to kick Mr. Mojo back into touch. Maybe that will entice him back, and just create a design. You've got a lot of scope with Love Is All Around. So thank you for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. You take care, and I will see you again soon. Just enjoy your crafting. Love and hugs from me. Bye for now.